Start our meeting now. We will please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance led by Councilmember Dodd.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
May I have a roll call, please?
Vice Mayor Hill has asked for an excused absence tonight. Vice Mayor Kitchen?
Here.
Councilmember Dodd?
Here.
Councilmember Iovino?
Here.
Councilmember McPartland?
Here.
Thank you.
This is a public hearing and adoption of the tentative millage and fiscal 2019-20 budget. Mr. Attorney, would you please?
Yes, ma'am. In accordance with Florida Statute 200.0657A1, the City Council is required to tentatively adopt a millage rate for calendar year 2019 and budget year beginning October 1, 2019 and ending September 30th, 2020 at a public hearing. This is the first public hearing in which the budget is presented. Do you want me to go through your recommendations or do that?
It's entirely up to you.
Okay.
You can just read the... Go ahead.
At this point, we have the resolutions, and I can go into the resolutions. Resolution R-19-23, a resolution of the City of Sebastian, Indian River County, Florida, adopting a tentative millage of 2.9399 mils for the calendar year 2019, providing for conflict, providing for Scrivener's error, and providing for an effective date.
Okay, and would you also read R-1924, please?
A resolution of the City of Sebastian, Florida, adopting amended financial policies. No, I skipped one. Here we go. Sorry, R-19-24, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Sebastian, Indian River County, Florida, adopting the tentative budget for the fiscal year beginning October 1, 2019 and ending September 30th, 2020, making appropriations for the payment of operating expenses, capital expenses, and for the principal and interest payments on indebtedness of the city in the city's general fund, special revenue funds, debt service funds, capital improvement funds, golf course fund, airport fund, and building department fund as provided for in Schedule A attached here to, establishing authority of the city manager to implement the budget, providing for conflict, providing for Scrivener's errors, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. Mr. Carlisle?
Yeah, Vice Mayor, members of council, appreciate the opportunity to present this next fiscal year budget to you. As directed by council and the Budget Advisory Board, we did do rollback rate, and we were able to balance the budget at that rate. I've got a brief presentation from Mr. Kilgore to go over this budget for you and for the public to see how we got to this point and things that we've done and what an overview of what the budget entails, and also if there's any questions afterwards, we'd be happy to answer them specifically.
Thank you. Mr. Kilgore.
Thank you. Yes, one of our requirements is to announce that the proposed millage rate of 2.9399 is the rollback rate, or is equal to the rollback rate. I just wanted to make sure that was covered. I've just selected some of the slides from my presentation last week and just kind of, in some cases, summarize them or just want to go through it fairly quickly just to remind you of some of the high points. The total budget for general fund is increasing 4.86%. That's $597,000. We only got a small portion of that from ad valorem taxes, as you'll see in a later slide here. The portion we got is on the added values to the tax roll. They increased some $113 million. I'm sorry, the total taxable values increased $113 million, but $23 million of that was additions, and that generated $134,552 that we still get, even though we're rolling back the rates. And reassessments, we basically, with the rollback rate, we are even as far as the revenues we collected from those properties last year in total. The homestead properties were protected by the 1.6 CPI or 3%, whichever is less. Their values could not be taxed any higher than that, and non-homestead properties could not exceed 10%. This was a chart we prepared to show you the three different values, the properties that were assessed at $200,000 last year, $250,000 or $300,000, and what effect it has on them if they were homesteaded properties versus non-homesteaded properties. Very slight difference in all cases, actually a benefit to the homesteaded properties because with the rollback rate, their taxes essentially go down. Golf course, they are making payments on the building fund loan, forecasting a long-term reduction in the deficit. It's going to take several years, but we hope with, based on our projections, that that's where we'll end up over the coming 6-year period. The airport, we are repaying $25,000 towards the general fund loan, and that will be the final payment, and they are making at the amortized interest and principal payments on the loans from the DST funds that built the hangars. Their deficit is expected next year to be on the positive side. Building fund is reorganizing their staff, and their level projections are flat. We're not anticipating a great deal of growth for next year. Local option gas tax, $211,000 is being allocated for road resurfacing work. The parking in lieu of fund has no additional agreements. There's $55,000, however, sitting in the account and drawing interest. The discretionary sales tax fund, as we normally do with, we go to the DST fund for MIS upgrades and police vehicles. We're doing $333,000 for major road reconstruction work. We are adding to the funds available to complete the Public Works compound, and we also are matching the funds on a grant received to construct Hangar D. The Riverfront CRA is covering the ongoing costs we have every year for special events, the sign and sewer connection grants, and work on the working waterfront. We also have funds in their budget for the landscaping contract, the signage program, and the tree program. Recreation Impact Fee Fund, we're completing the pickleball facility, doing park signage, Barber Street bleachers, dugouts and fencing, and playground improvements. Stormwater Utility Fund, we are hoping for a grant from FEMA to address the stormwater project. And we've got funds allocated for stormwater work in conjunction with road reconstruction work. The Law Enforcement Forfeiture Fund are only for items that would be brought back to the City Council during the year that were needs of the police department that were not budgeted or provided for. Cemetery Trust Fund, those funds are split between what has to be kept for expansions and additions and the half that can be used for operation and maintenance, and we do transfer $80,000 to the general fund because that's where the expenses for the cemetery maintenance activity is accounted for. They still have a substantial balance in the reserves even after those transfers. To summarize the capital improvement program, the biggest part of our funding comes from the discretionary sales tax, the DST fund, and primarily stormwater, the Public Works compound, and road improvements are the uses of it that are forecast through year 2025. So after tonight's first hearing, we have to advertise that the City Council has adopted a budget, that we are having no increase in the taxes because they measure the increase by the rollback rate. So there'll be zero increase in taxes advertised and a summation of the budget. we'll have the final public hearing on the budget September 25th. And at that time, you'll be asked to adopt the final millage and the final budget. Plus, we've got a couple other related items to, we'll have the CRA budget that has to be separately approved. So we'll have a resolution on that, as well as the capital improvement program, and also the renewal of our workers' compensation policy that's we're going to be asking to extend that out another year. They came in with a quote actually today, so that looks good. So I would be open to any questions or comments I can clarify.
Any questions? No? Then I will open the public hearing on the tentative millage and the tentative budget. Is there anyone from the public that would like to speak? Hearing none, I'll close the public hearing. Resolution R 1923, what's the pleasure of the council?
I'll move approval of Resolution R-19-23.
Second.
We have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Sorry?
Does it take a voice vote?
I think we should take a voice vote if you don't mind, Madam Vice Mayor.
For the
Go
budget,
ahead.
please.
Vice Mayor Kitchen?
Yes.
Councilmember Dodd?
Yes.
Councilmember Iovino?
Yes.
Councilmember McPartlin?
Yes.
Thank you.
Resolution R 1924.
Move approval. The resolution R-1924.
Second.
Any other discussion? Madam Clerk?
Councilmember Dodd?
Yes.
Councilmember Iovino?
Yes.
Councilmember McPartlin?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Kitchen?
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you.
The second and final public hearing on the millage and the budget will be on Wednesday, September 25th, 2019, at our regular city council meeting at 6 p.m. Now, under new business, we have Resolution R 19-25, adopting amended financial policies of fiscal year. Mr. Attorney.
A resolution of the City of Sebastian, Florida, adopting amended financial policies governing various areas of budget and finance as provided for in Attachment A, providing for conflicts, providing for scrivener's errors, and providing for an effective date.
Council?
I'll move approval of Resolution number R-19-25. Second.
Is there anyone from the public that wishes to speak on this item? Anyone else? Mr. Dodd, do you have anything?
No, there's a lot in there. I like brevity. I'm not sure why this thing isn't about a page and a half long as opposed to all these pages with all this duplicate stuff in it. So maybe next year we can think about making it shorter and more to the point. Things like the reserve stuff, it's referenced like 5 times, and every time it gets more detailed or it gives more information, but so.
Some of that is because we want to make sure that these non-allocated things are covered that we had talked about before.
Yeah.
When we looked at the budget and we looked at the CAFR, when they talked about unfunded liabilities, we wanted to make sure that some of that stuff's allocated, that's all.
It just reaffirms my consolation that accountants and lawyers went to the same writing school, so.
As I had an attorney tell me, if it's worth saying once, it's worth saying several times.
All right, that's it.
Madam Clerk?
Councilmember Iovino?
Yes.
Councilmember McPartlin?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Kitchen?
Yes.
Councilmember Dodd?
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Okay, this meeting is so adjourned.
We're not going to do personal matters.
There's nothing on my agenda that says that.
Can I bring something up?
Okay.
Is it all right? It's real simple, and we all got this email from a Sebastian River Junior High School student, Emma Yokowicz. I think I may be saying her name improperly.
I remember.
And it kind of hit home when I read it, because I've been seeing a lot of stuff in the national news about how the young people are finally starting to understand how badly we're screwing up our planet, and they're wanting to do something about it. And she's asking in this email, why can't we do something about things like plastic bags and all that kind of stuff? The Natural Resources Board has been working for a long time on this program they've labeled Sustainable Sebastian. And it I know there's legal ramifications. It may even be impossible under some of the state statutes that they're talking about passing for us to even do away with plastic bags. However, this Sustainable Sebastian program, I think, can be important. I would like to ask the city manager, if the rest of the council approves with it, or is in agreement with that, to kind of work with the staff contact for the Natural Resources Board and see if they can't bring that program back to us sometime in October, in one of our meetings in October, for us to do tentative approval on it and try to shoot towards maybe implementing it sometime around the first of the year. They've had a lot of conversations, they've done a lot of work on it, it just hasn't gotten to the point where it's come to the council and we've actually taken those steps on it. And this email just kind of brought that out in my mind. So I don't know if anybody else has any comments about it or.
I have no objections to bringing it back.
Well, so maybe we can, you have no problems with that?
Absolutely.
Okay, so.
We can definitely look into it and try to vet out the good policies and what things may be able to move forward.
Sometimes with things like this, if you don't give a date, you don't get a date. And so what I would like to do is say, well, let's shoot for like our second meeting in October. Just bring back a summary of the program so we can say, yes, we like it or not. And then let's shoot for January for approval on it or something like that. Sometimes groups they spend, they get a lot of things on their plate and they spend a lot of time talking about individual things and they don't ever get anything finalized, so. Okay, all right, thank you guys.
Okay.
We'll do our best. Thank you.
And now we are adjourned. Thank you.